back to the UHCL Black Box for the performance of Lucky Hands. This show was written and performed by Walter McNairy, directed by Dr. Andrea Baldwin, with assistant direction by Diego Soto. At this time, we ask that you turn your phones off to be present for the experience. Life is full of unexpected outcomes that can throw us for a loop. Some call it luck, others call it destiny. Our use of free will is the biggest factor in whether or not we will feel fulfilled. Based on the hands you've been dealt in life, how did you play your cards? Are you truly able to exist within the moment?
Okay. Let's see what we were dealt. Male, not too shabby. Perceived as black with white experiences. Might be a little harder than I hoped for, but I got this. Growing up, I always loved playing games. They helped shape my outlook on life and how to play this game of life. From checkers to poker, they all taught me something very valuable every time I played them. I loved to win. The most important game I ever experienced was poker. Texas Hold'em to be exact. And conveniently enough, my grandparents taught me how to play. You see, playing this game was always a rite of passage to me, because I was always too young to understand. It was too complex and had way too many nuances for me. To experience this game meant my thoughts, ideas, and strategy was validated. I wanted acceptance. I was born in San Diego, California, to parents in the Navy. You could say, without the military-industrial complex, I wouldn't be in front of you here tonight. I'd be in front of you here tonight because my parents didn't want to join the military. They're not the most patriotic members of society, no. They simply played the best cards they had within their hands. It's all we can do. My mother joined the military because she had to be out of the house at the age of 18. My father joined the military because my brothers and his grandfather are military men as well. Now, when I talk to them about their 20-year military experience, they tell me their shoulda, woulda, couldas about reminiscing and end it with, well, if that would have happened, you wouldn't be here today. The cards in their life made the birth of me inevitable, an outcome of circumstances. I went to church as a child, and I adopted the belief of God because of the people around me. In that moment, there was an idea being staked into my pawn to forever ripple the essence of the meaning received then. I would begin to question this belief as early as the age of 8. Because of a supernova book I read that explained the Big Bang Theory to me. It was the only thing that made sense at the time, because it seemed like every time I prayed, no one answered. What would my life have looked like if I had never been interested in this book? Supernovas are the result of a star reaching its last moments and collapsing in on itself, exploding, sending star stuff out into the universe. There are supernova-like moments going on constantly around us, like when one idea leads to another, or an artist leaves behind a legacy to influence generations to come. I would think about God constantly around this age. Why would our very own Creator create us just to watch us suffer? Why would my very own Creator create me and judge me when He knows everything about me? These thoughts would lead me to becoming a nihilist. I thought my purpose in life was to die and suffer. I had ripped all the stakes out of my pawn and was left with the reflection of my mortality. You could say I was a bundle of joy, huh? Early on, I learned people like you don't bother them. They love you don't challenge them. And I had seen what happens when you act out as a child, so I learned how to stay out of trouble, or at least how not to get caught. You see, unless it was time to win, time to entertain. In every situation, there's something to learn or gain. With each interaction, there's information being displayed to help you win. I learned a lot from human social cues and creative and strategic thinking. I learned how to play poker at my family's lake house in Woodville, Texas. It's about 2 hours away from Houston. About 5 to 6 of us will play at a time, including my grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins. It's just a highlight of all the games being played because it's when things would get serious. You see, this game subconsciously taught me how to make the best out of every situation. No matter the hand I was dealt, I could win in life because of my perspective. This would only work half the time, though. This deep down, I felt as if I still had a purpose. The only way I found fulfillment was through creation and music. Particularly, music's always been a key factor within my life. There wasn't a time music wasn't being played in my household. Whatever I was feeling, I could find a song to learn from and reflect on. It became the way I processed my emotions. I grew up very depressed, masking all of my inner emotions with endless media consumption. My depression would only let up as I started expressing myself in the ways I saw fit, through clothing and art. The first piece I created that gave me a sense of peace was a drawing I did when I was 14. I had went above and beyond on the project. I was very proud. I received great praise from my art teacher, and I was hooked ever since that moment. Now I knew my potential as an artist was limitless. I've always had self-worth issues growing up, and able to see the full possibilities and qualities I'd always possessed. I have no real sense of identity unless I'm interacting with art or some form of expression. There's nothing I love more than hearing a song I love, an outfit I like, or a new painting. It's become how I relate to others, form connections. It's what I live for. It was always in my cards to be an artist, but it was up to me as the player to be receptive enough to follow suit. Luck and chance are very big drivers in how we end up in life. I believe my luck or embracing the ever-flowing moment with the correct judgment has helped me greatly in my life. So we're gonna play the game Lucky Hands, where I have the audience draw cards and I tell stories based on each one. With each suit, each card, there's a different story to tell. So who wants to go first? Who wants to pick? Sorry, man, over there. King of Hearts. Funny enough, I called this backstage. I love to experiment. And I've been waiting to tell this story because one of my favorite art teachers is here. See, she was experimenting one day. And it was my first painting class. I was a sophomore in high school and I was very excited. This experiment was her critique. In this critique, she put all our pieces up on the whiteboard and had the groups, the tables, vote on which piece was the best. I'm a sophomore in class with juniors and seniors. I didn't expect to win. It was as each table went up there and put their vote. Just so happened to be on mine. Oh, my confidence went through the roof. And little did she know, she had put a little fire in my heart that would eventually lead to a forest fire. Now, I want to dominate every single medium I come across. I can't wait to express myself and win. I want every single person to look at my art and think it is the best in the class. And I don't always express this. But now's the time to, I had to let her know how important that experimentation was in my life. If she did not experiment, would I have pushed myself to learn more? I don't know. But we're here, aren't we? Who else? Victoria. Three of Clover. A story about the future. In the future, I'm in Manhattan, and I'm walking down the street to go see MoMA, my favorite museum. It's the Museum of Modern Art, of course. And it's been a couple years since I graduated with my bachelor's. And I'm actually going to meet a long-lost friend. His name's Soto. He worked on 3 performances with me. In the Weeds, The Great Gatsby, and he assistant directed my show. We're catching up. It's been a long time. I've missed my long-lost friend. And while we're talking, he's telling me about these acting gigs he's getting. He's very successful. I'm actually kind of jealous. But the real reason we met up that day is to go look at the art and experience what it had to offer. And we were also going to write a new show called Everything She Wants, a performance that was inspired by my role as Jay Gatsby in The Great Gatsby. It was a performance based in the 80s, and I was listening to Everything She Wants by Wham. Oh, I loved it. So much that I decided to write a whole performance about it. And this performance is going to be about voids, and how voids in our lives can destroy the people around us if we don't fix them. And while at MoMA, we're drinking our coffee, we're talking, reminiscing, and we're planning, building schedules to write our show. Man, it was a great day catching up with my good old friend Diego. Anyone else want to pick a card? Kind sir over here. A 6 of clovers. Man, I was scared of this happening. I just graduated with my master's from University of Houston, and I'm looking to really push this organization I started called VADE. With this organization, I'm gonna allow anyone that wants to learn how to make art to learn, free of charge, hopefully. And I'm gonna be renting a studio where Vane will be ran through. Anyone can come and learn how to sculpt, paint, make a show. They're going to dig deep within themselves and learn what it means to be an artist because of my organization called Vane. I started this organization with my friend Chris, right here. A very inspirational person to me. Because while we would talk about Vane, we would talk about the future a lot and what we would be doing. We want it to be about how art runs through our veins and community brings us all together through art. I got the studio actually. Now I'm rearranging it up, organizing it. One of my favorite things to do is organize workspace. Why? Because I'm an art nerd that can't stop thinking about it. It's the only thing I care about. I just graduated with my master's from Houston, and my dreams are coming true. I never would have expected any of this to happen. But because of the work I did in my undergraduate and my master's, I'm able to do whatever I want now. Man, what a feeling. You don't need to take life by the balls. All you gotta do is use your lucky hands. Who wants to draw next? We have one more. It's up here. Sorry, excuse me.
No, you're good.
Nine of Diamonds. The story of the now. This is also a story I've been waiting to tell because my sculpture professor is here. When I first started sculpture, I was absolutely terrified because of what Miss Makepeace told me. She told me that Jason was a hard grader, and he's not gonna play around like she let me play around in her class. And it was my first college art class. And plus, I don't know how to sculpt. What am I thinking? I'm terrified. I think I'm gonna fail. I think everyone in college is very good at sculpting, and they know what to do with their art. But little did I know, I'm kind of good. I pushed myself to make as much art as I could during that semester because I didn't think I was going to have another opportunity to do so. I created 2 stone sculptures, one called XX and one XY. Very good sculptures, I do say so myself. And I made a barbed wire sculpture that was an oasis. It was what I think parks would look like in the future. It was a great piece. And then the first one I made was a little weak. It was a self-portrait. I made out of plaster, and I put an incense in the mouth to replicate my smoking habit. It was all right, but then as Jason saw me interact with the class around me, he saw me trying to help the students that weren't really getting it. He asked, "Hey, you want to be a TA?" What's that? I didn't know. I had no idea. But he told me I could get paid by teaching people art. Why the hell would I not do that? So I became a TA the next year. And I learned that I really love to teach people things. Not only because I'm giving them information to help better themselves, but because every time I help them with one of their problems, it helps me. And I put that little knowledge in my bank of resources. So if I run into that problem, I know what to do. All these stories are moments I was never quite able to forget. They've marinated in my mind and inspired change in my life. When we are sharing our stories, we are providing moments to genuinely connect and build bonds with those around us. These stories are entry points for empathy and connection. Stories are essential to our survival as a species because they imbue us with energy and information for us to conceptualize for our own use. Simply put, they're fucking fun to tell and help us discover the world around us through another's perspective. Jean is a performance art festival that takes place in Pettigene Park, located in Arkansas. It happens once a year and is an artist resort of sorts where you indulge in performance art. I began my trip to Pettigene preparing for the future. The plan was to create as much as possible, only bringing my phone and no other means of creation. I made it to our rendezvous a little late because of an all-nighter I pulled making art. And I was very tired on our way up to Arkansas. But I was determined to take advantage of the time I had on my hands and to push myself. So I drew on my phone for 6 hours and finished right before we arrived at the park. Perfect timing. The first thing we saw was this huge landscape valley full of trees, which would later become the place where I learned the importance and meaning of ephemera. After a beautiful sunset, borderland setting, gone was the entertainment of hearing Dr. Baldwin's music on shuffle. I was left alone with my thoughts in the beautiful park, still wanting to create. I started to analyze what could be created. I felt like a car full of gas, no pedal. I was now on the hunt for materials. These rocks and pebbles would steal my attention. First, I had to go see a waterfall down a trail. And what else Pettigene had to offer? There were so many beautiful rocks and leaves, and then the thought of superglue would plague my mind while I was on the trail. I was in dire need to create. And I would make sure to beg Dr. Baldwin for superglue, because I thought the perfect idea. I was gonna make art out of the materials people constantly overlooked and walked all over. Rocks. Dr. Baldwin would arrange for the superglue to make it to the next day, but it was much too long of a wait. But then it arrived out of thin air. The perfect opportunity to get superglue. It stopped at a gas station. I rushed inside, and I finally acquired what I needed to start this game of creation. So now I started collecting the rocks. Like I said before, these rocks and pebbles were still the rest of my attention at Pettigene. Meaning, I looked like a toddler for a quarter of my Pettigene experience. I didn't know what my first sculpture was going to be. I started to assemble it into a vortex formation. It sort of looked like a hand or a throne. And then I decided I was going to make a hand out of this unplanned project. And I was bored and satisfied with my results. So much so, that I made the second one right away. And this one was going to be a crescent moon. A new beginning of sorts. A new beginning because this trip would ultimately lead in a change in the way I view art. How picking up those rocks and piecing them together, it would feel the feeling of rediscovering myself and who I was. While at Pettigene, it was my job as a performer to participate in the group activities where we created short performances. While we weren't rehearsing, I would sneak off to the boat dock that had the best collection of rocks around me. And while pirating these rocks, I would think to myself, what the purpose of creating was. Was I creating for my love of creation because it's what I expect out of myself, or the want to leave something behind? I came to the conclusion that it was a mix of all three. Once Pettigene came to an end, I created more art than I knew what to do with. This was accompanied by a lengthy conversation with Dr. Baldwin on our way back to Texas, unpacking everything that had taken place within Paradise. The conversation ranged from art as a form of meditation and healing and self-discovery. It was the type of conversation artists can't help themselves but to have when given the opportunity. How every time I was picking up those rocks, piecing them together, transported me back to the time I was a child. In the hills of San Diego, picking up rocks with my sister, being in nature, seeing the coastline from far out. We had made it back to Texas, and I was overwhelmed with everything I was feeling. I just experienced something I'd always yearned for, but didn't realize. A community of artists where everyone focused on creation. And then it hit me. Art and creation are a gift. To experience art in any capacity is a gift that brings us all together. It can be used as a tool to shape your perception of anything. Art can be fun, deadly, good, bad, useful, useless, everything and nothing, all at once. And I'd made this realization while dancing around, smoking a joint in my studio to Sam Galitri. That moment was the seed for tonight's show. I knew that it was part of my goal as an artist to relay how important art is in the human experience. Anyone can use art as a tool to help better themselves, their loved ones, or their community. Art has become my game of choice because it's a game where I can improve myself and all of my surroundings. While at Pettigene, I was able to access a part of myself that was constantly creating. I never felt such a sense of belonging, being able to talk with like-minded individuals. I get so much satisfaction and fulfillment being able to talk about the intricacies of projects with peers. That weekend, I learned the importance of creation, community, and capturing the moment instead of the moment capturing me.
Oh, I didn't see you there. I was just playing with my lucky hands. What is vain, you ask? Well, at Vain, we're a virtuistic, enthusiastic, informational nation. And it's an organization I've been dreaming of starting since the 8th grade. Back when I had no access to being the artist I am today. And with this organization, I'm going to make sure everyone has the access to be the artist they dream to be. Now let's find this lucky hands. That was actually a good one.
Have you ever been down, felt aimless, or plain not wanting to exist anymore? Well, here at Vain, we've been through the same thing. So put down those guns and ropes and listen up. We aren't licensed therapists, but we can teach you the joy and creativity of art and how to express yourself. Here at Vain, we prioritize artistic, individual, and community growth. And we reach these goals through promoting group activity within art. You aren't convinced we're the best fit for you? Well, take it from those who have been personally affected by the Vain message.
Growing up, I was never fast nor strong, though I was skilled at my craft. Since my family neglected and belittled my aspirations, then I met a Vain representative. They allowed me to join their organization and introduced me to like-minded individuals that supported and pushed me. That's the first time I ever felt validation. They had no idea that it was always my dream to be part of a team. Better yet, a family. Thanks, Vain.
Before Vain, I had no job, no drive, no one I could call my own. Now that I've joined Vain, I'm still a poor, lonely, anxious mess, but I'm able to get in touch with my creative side. Vain has taught me so much about myself and how to live as an artist. And now, I'm able to express my lack of self-worth with paintings like this one.
How has Vain helped you?
Vain is great. I found Vain when I was at my lowest, and I hit rock bottom. Vain showed me that when you're at your lowest, the only way to go is up. So even if I never be invited back to my family reunions, and I can only see my daughter on the weekends, at least I can show everyone this amazing music I've created.
How has Vain helped you?
I mean, how hasn't it? I mean, look at her. Ain't she gorgeous? I everything I hold near and dear to me. She's my apple to my oranges, my maggot to my corpse. She means the whole entire world to me. I couldn't help but put her likeness somewhere for the world to see just how great she is, how beautiful she is to me. Because of them, well, without them, I wouldn't have written this little ditty for my stepsister right here.
See, with Vane, anything is possible through the power of artistic expression. What was once dull and colorless can be cheery and vibrant. Vane is here to help you do just that. See, with Vane, we're gonna help you get in touch with your creative side, whether or not you know you have it. Take a chance and check your creative pulse with Vane. Not over yet.
Most of the time, I think about creating. I don't. At least in the physical sense of arranging materials or ideas. I have these self-destructive habits of procrastination and self-doubt. A sucker for instant gratification. A dopamine junkie that can never get enough. Refresh. Scroll. New app. Refresh. Watch video. Skip ad. Scroll. Scroll. New app. Light joint. Eat food. Watch video. Skip ad. Scroll. 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 A vicious cycle. I need everything. And I need it now. When I compare myself to my ideals, I fell in comparison. I have this insatiable need to improve myself and all of my surroundings because they're the only things I have control over in my life. At times, I'm terrified of what people may think about me or my expression. I question whether or not I'm meant to be an artist until I can challenge these thoughts and escape into the moment. I've been trying to think about the right way to introduce people to art or being an artist, and I've settled on my own experience to inspire y'all. I wanted to reinterpret something I've seen online to seem more intelligent, but authenticity within art is what we need most. I knew I'd be able to call it a success in the future if I was able to trust myself and allow room for growth in that moment of time. The reason I truly make art is because it gives me purpose. Before I started painting and creating seriously, my life felt empty. So, when I started to see myself improve, I wanted to push myself, learn more, and paint better. Since I was a child, I've had colored screens with flashing lights, each pulling for my attention. I want control over my life back. My artwork is a portal to the moment of creation. The moment is one of the most important things in my art. In the moment, I'm able to experience the now and how to go about my next step. I'm able to experience the moment more. I'm painting, sculpting, or working on a show. I feel most human when I'm creating or interacting with some form of expression. When making art, my feelings, thoughts, and worries become the inspiration and fuel for the project. I a slight sense of control and become a vessel to fully submit to the moment. Each moment we capture is enriched by the art that is going on around us. Whether it's the melody in this song, the way I pronunciate my words, or the cues in these projections. Each little detail gives us more entry points back to a particular moment. We aren't allowed to exist in the moment anymore. Realize how much we truly have in common with each other. We've become victims to the algorithm, echo chambers, and groupthink. Turned into monologic communicators, able to have real dialogue. My art practice is the only thing that reminds me to slow down. Listen. Art itself didn't heal me. But having to get everything taken care of in my life, to have peace of mind, to therefore work on art, did. Art is the vehicle that drove me to self-improvement and fulfillment. It was the catalyst that showed me the power in creation and community. There's this artist named Mark Rothko, whose art never made sense to me for a while. I first learned about his work while watching a documentary on YouTube about art. This was during a time I became obsessed with painting and other artists' methods of doing so. My favorites at the time were Jackson Pollock, George Condo, and Francis Bacon. Their styles made me wonder about the possibilities. Though, something always stood out about Mark Rothko's work to me. It was something I heard while watching the documentary on YouTube about it. Supposedly, his paintings are to be viewed as religious experiences. These paintings are only colored squares. And they're supposed to make you cry and break down. I couldn't fathom how it was possible. How something that seems so simple and mundane could evoke such powerful emotions. I dismissed it as pretentious art mumbo jumbo, though the idea of art being a religious experience stuck with me. My view of art was very limited at the time. I'd yet to understand the true power of it, and how it could transform the world around us. Art is everywhere, whether it's the design in your car, your shoes, or your next meal. We rely on art to validate our experiences and make sense of the world. Recently, I visited the Rothko Chapel. And to great surprise, I experienced a moment that would change my outlook on life. While in the chapel, I was immediately greeted by the silence within the building. And then giant canvases that stretched the entire length of the walls. These giant purple canvases were created through layers and layers of thin purple paint, and it created such a great sense of depth. I was staring at these words of the art. I would start to see figures appear. And then I would escape into myself. It was as if my mind had been projected onto the painting and was now acting out a scene. I could imagine myself in the studio it was created in, painting every thin layer of thin purple paint. I wanted to take breaks to smoke cigarettes and analyze my next move. While in the chapel, I felt connected to Rothko's experience. I could imagine life in his shoes. My body felt such a great buildup of emotion while I studied these purple layers. It was as if the painting was sucking all of the negative judgments and emotions right out of my mind. having these negative judgments exercised, I saw a man sitting on the crown. What a weirdo, I thought. Secretly, I envied his confidence to do as he pleased, even if there were others around him ready to judge him. By the time the man had got up, I had had all the negative judgments exercised from my mind, and I was ready to take his place on the ground. While on the ground, I had the best experience within the room. I realized how judgmental I am, and the jealousy within me. I thought it was better than such basic emotions, but the Rothko Chapel stripped me down and reminded me that I'm only a human that seeks a sense of belonging and validation. Art, my first love, gave me the tools to appreciate the life around me, to call my father more, or to eat with my mother more. You don't have to love art like this. Find it in your own way. Give yourself the space to be still, to grow, to try something new. Get yourself to a space there is nowhere else to go but within. It's a scary place, I know. But if you feel good about it, try. Once you go in, if questions arise, if what you find, what you feel makes you struggle to find the words, find a way to create it. Curate an outfit is where pick a different color of ink in your pen. Rearrange your room or your desk. Make a painting, a drawing, a sculpture out of found objects. Words fail. Art prevails. You see, we all have some cards in this game. Some good, some bad. Trying to make sense of this game of life might leave you feeling a little all over the place. But when you are creative, you take luck into your own hands. And destiny can be whatever you make it to be.